going, everybody, and welcome to BossFight TV's The Reload. As always, I'm Josh Engel.
And I'm Mike Bisson, a.k.a. Mohawk Mike.
And today we will be covering last week's news, which happens to be February 21st through 28th. And if it means anything to you, it's the 13th episode, number 13, moving right along.
Is this the unlucky one? Or is this the...
It's not Friday. It's not Friday.
We almost got
it is Leap Day,
we
though.
Almost got... You know the actual scientific term for Leap Day?
What is it?
Bisextile.
Bisextile?
Bisextile. So on Leap Day, tell everybody to have a great bisextile. I'm serious. Look it up.
Okay.
That's a lot of points in Scrabble. I'm just
Shout out, though. I don't know. I doubt she watches the show, but Sarah, born on Leap Day, happy birthday. I think you're probably like 5 years old?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 years old today? Something like that? I don't know. But happy birthday. As always, like we start off every show, we're going to talk about our awesome sponsor, iHeart Esports. They make really sweet, awesome, cool, super happy, fun stickers of death and destruction that pertain to esports. Do you like all this?
Is that like in their trademark? Like iHeart
No,
Esports,
but it should be. Jason, write that down. For real. But seriously, if you guys like esports, you got awesome stickers, good game stickers, iHeart Esports. They have their player sets, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. As always, we will be giving away some stickers during the episode. Make sure you listen for the secret code that we do not know what it is yet until we get there. But we'll come up with it. So, and all you have to do is follow us at BossFight TV and iHeart Esports, and you'll get a chance to win.
Why did I have to drop the bisextile knowledge so early?
I know, that could have been the thing,
one.
but you ruined it, man.
All right.
You ruined it. Also, before we continue on, we don't have the day nailed in yet. I just want to tell you guys to keep a lookout on Twitter and Facebook and on BossFight.tv. We are working with Corey Consider It Done and Alex Golden Boy Mendez for a sweet roundtable interview discussion. It's probably going to be coming up in the next week or so. Like I said, just keep a lookout. We're just trying to move all the people's schedules around and figure stuff out because everybody's just crazy busy, us included. So, but be on the lookout for that. And also, we just announced on our website today that we have been announced as the official Power Up 2012 media sponsor, coverage outlet, whatever you want to call that. So we're going to be basically like the exclusive people in there reporting on that. If you don't know what Power Up is, it's a Road to Evo event. So it's an Evo qualifier, and that's in Cincinnati, Ohio at Arcade Legacy. So if you go to powerupfighters.com, you can find out all the information with that. So you should see a lot of really cool interviews and pictures and just coverage in general coming out of that event.
As well as one secret that is being organized behind the scenes.
Ooh, the secret. You'll see.
If you're a fan of Boss Fight, you may have a guess already what it is.
Might.
But, you know.
We might have done something pertaining to it in the past. What could it be?
Secrets.
I don't know. But anyways, that's it for our little introduction to the show. As always, we're going to jump right into StarCraft 2 news. This weekend was chock full of ridiculousness.
I would say there was at least $20 worth.
Don't start with me, Mike.
I'm saying in all of it.
Overall.
I'm just saying.
First off, the first tournament that got underway this weekend was the Asus Winter Assembly. It brought together some of the best players in the world, and it was a 2-day tournament, Friday and Saturday, wrapped up Saturday morning, and it was really early in the morning because it's over there in Europe. Screwing up my sleep schedule again, all these European tournaments.
So I know all about that.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But going into the actual tournament itself, there were some ridiculously awesome games. I got to watch pretty much, I wouldn't say the entire tournament. I watched most of the playoff bracket stuff. I watched a little bit of pool play. I was able to go watch the VODs and all that stuff for free. And going into the playoff brackets, it was really Korean heavy. And if you looked on the website, I did a day one recap, and looking at it, there were a lot of Korean players in it. And I was like, you know what? I hate to be like really cliche and be like, yeah, Korean's probably going to win it, because honestly, if someone came out and said a Korean's going to win it, they were most likely going to be correct. Because if you look at the playoff brackets, there were a lot. And the other thing I said the only non-Korean that I felt that could beat a Korean was Mr. Stefano, Mil Stefano from Millennium. And guess what? He made it to the finals. So if you look at the brackets, we have Lucky, Mana, Polt, Hero, Elfie, Stefano, Puma, and Select. They made it into the quarterfinals. And then Lucky, Polt, Stefano, and Puma won, so they advanced. And then Polt beat Stefano in the finals 4-1. And they were really, really awesome games. Like, you know, it might be 4-1. You're like, oh, wow. Like, you know, he kind of stomped them. But seriously, you owe it to yourself, if you have time, to go look at the VODs, because Stefano played like a crazy man. It was ridiculous. And, you know, the interesting aspect was, you know, Stefano is probably one of the most, or they were talking about it on the stream, Stefano is probably one of the most, you know, studied foreigner out there, at least on the Zerg side of things. And he really tried to throw a wrench into the gears, because the thing is, Stefano kind of does this Ling and Fester play like all the time, and he just like mass upgrades all of his Lings and all that stuff. And he threw in some crazy stuff. He threw in Mutas one time. It kind of threw him off, and just some other crazy things. So the gameplay is awesome. If you want to see some crazy awesome highest of high level gameplay, I would go watch those finals for sure. So congratulations for Polt and also Stefano for going through that really, really tough bracket indeed. So the other tournament that was going on this weekend was the MLG Winter Arena, which happened in New York City. As we've been talking about,
New York City.
Kind
of date myself there.
Which had the really cool skyline in the background when the players were playing, and it was really awesome to see. But basically, this was a seeding tournament going into the MLG Winter Championships, so the finals of this season, basically, which is going to happen in Columbus, Ohio. As we've been stating the last couple episodes, it was kind of like a trial run for MLG. They were working on a pay-per-view system. It was $20 if you wanted to see it. And basically there was some free streams you could watch, but not a lot of gameplay. But seriously, I do have to say, as much as I kind of like poke fun at it here and there or whatever, you know, I personally did not buy a pass, but we got to go check it out at a local Barcraft. The production value, as always with MLG, is top notch. Seriously, they're probably the best in the business, if I do say so myself. But on top of that, their whole streaming system, where they had multiple streams that you could watch picture in picture, you could watch all four at the same time. Just a really, really cool idea. Is it worth $20? I don't know. Yes, no. You know, we got to look at the community and see what they have to say. MLG is obviously looking for some feedback after the tournament. But Sundance came out at the end and said, hey, we're going to have 2 more of these in the spring. So it was obviously successful enough to come back and do 2 more in the spring at least. So I think they're probably going to be in New York again. They are working on a location in Columbus, Ohio. Sundance has mentioned it multiple times. And they're going to want to start bringing in some more, you know, spectator experiences, letting, you know, more reporters in and things of that nature. So overall, I think they're going to get better and better. You know, so where's that price point going to land? Is it going to stay at 20? Is it going to go lower, higher? I doubt it'll go higher, but lower, possibly. Who knows?
I do have to say the one thing that was kind of, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed the event as well. All bias aside and all my opinions, I will say the one thing that was kind of awkward was not having the live crowd there. Because, always when the shoutcasters, when they get into the event, they announce the players and their locations, dead silence.
Right.
And it just kind of was, us at the Barcraft, of course, everybody was cheering, when they, you clap for the player you want to win or whatever. But at the same time,
dead silence.
It was just kind of, it was
eerie.
It didn't feel like an MLG.
Right.
the competition was there, the quality was there, the presentation. I will say probably the biggest thing, the biggest piece of feedback I have was the speed of things.
Yes, definitely.
Match after match after match, and there was never a lull or a dull moment, because even they did recaps between matches. So overall, if you didn't see it, then catch some of those VODs and check out some bar crafts.
Indeed. Because in a week, those VODs will be free, so you can watch them, you can check it out, and see how they all went. And, the other interesting thing, how you're saying, it went quick. There wasn't a lot of time between games, but that time between games, since there were no ads, were filled in. Whoever they had casting, the other two casters were off on like a little side stage, and they analyzed the games and kind of talked about what happened. So overall, it was really cool. So kind of like going back to like Home Story Cup, that kind of like personal tournament where like the players don't have to really deal with people on the outside and they just kind of play. Like it really brings the quality of the tournament back up. So awesome production value as always. Which, mentioning on the quietness, I'm not gonna say who won until I get to it, but the person who won didn't really even know he won.
No.
Like at the end, and because it was people weren't cheering like, oh yeah, he's just like,
are we done? Is that it?
Me?
Okay.
Yeah. Sweet. No, it was really cool. So going on in the brackets, we'll pull the brackets up here. We have, but by the way, there were no groups. It went right into bracket play, which is really cool. So we have Leenock, Oz, Huck, Rhett, Parting, MC, Violet, and Marine King. They all made it to the round 3 in the winners bracket, which they're all best of 3 games, even in the losers bracket, double elimination. From there, Huck, Oz, Parting, and MKP, that's Marine King, they all advanced. I do have to say, Huck, I was rooting for you a lot when I saw, Huck, which I'll go in a little detail in a second. So Huck beat Oz 2-1, MKP 2-0'd Parting. Then the game that I was most excited for was Huck and MKP, the winners bracket finals. And I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty intense, but I was really, really sad to see Huck lose. MK beat him 2-0. And then DRG ended up beating Huck 2-0 again in the losers bracket finals, which meant MKP and Don Ragu in the finals, where I do want to mention before I say who wins, even though it's on the screen and you can see it right now, it doesn't really matter. DRG got knocked out round 2. And fought all the way to the finals.
Not only that, but he pulled out some crazy tactics, basically showing like he was the veteran and he knew
special tactics.
He got all the GGs.
He got all of the GGs. And then even with Mike and how, Mike knows StarCraft, but not like to the tune of how he knows Quake and Counter-Strike and stuff like that. But even with him, like, watching, like, you would have to say, I was
like, what the hell is going on? What's with all these speedlings? Like,
what did you think? Here's my question I have for you. What did you think when MKP used the factory to block off Don Ragu's army?
Are you kidding me?
He's like, I'm gonna destroy your base now. By the way, you can't defend it.
That was amazing.
Were you freaking out?
I had never seen a tactic like that before.
Right.
I mean, obviously, ramps in the upper levels, usually at least you see like blink-ins and things like that.
Yeah, with the Protoss players.
Yeah, never a freaking
just a factory.
A factory.
It was really sweet.
Just plant.
If you don't know what we're talking about, whenever those VODs go live, if you didn't pay the $20, wait for a week. Go watch those VODs and watch for Dat Factory.
That was amazing.
Should that be the code? Dat Factory?
Dat Factory?
DAT Factory. Dat Factory.
My only concern is that there's like a German style club that's like
Dat Factory.
Dat Factory.
We go to Dat Factory.
Yes. This weekend that's the Dat Factory. Dubstep all 24 hours.
All 24 hours. Do you want to do the code or you want to wait off and see if we All right. You like that? Is it good for you?
Let's do Dat Factory.
Dat Factory. And you can't really tweet in a German accent, but
Just umlauts over everything.
Jesus Christ. So follow us at BossFight TV and at iHeart Esports. Hashtag Dat Factory.
Dat Factory.
And if you watched it, let us know also what you thought about that. Did you freak out? Were you like, whatever, it's just, cool, I guess? Or anywhere in between. Let us know what you think. So, Dat Factory, at BossFight TV, at iHeart Esports. You know how to do it right there. So, going on to the finals. DRG was able to win 2 games, bringing it back to a best of 7. But unfortunately, it was not enough as MKP won the rest of the games, giving him the victory in New York.
Right, but more importantly, this is the King of Kongs we're talking about. The number 2 kid.
Right, finished number 2. Again.
No, finished number 1.
I thought it was DRG that was.
No, I thought Marine King Prime won. He won the King of Kongs.
What?
MKP won the King of Kongs tournament, always placing second.
Are you sure?
And this
that?
was,
okay.
I thought. Okay.
All right, everyone out there in internet land's like, you guys are retarded, don't know what you're talking about. Do you realize how many tournaments we follow every week? Do you realize I can't have everything on this computer screen?
I always follow
and he can't write it down on this little piece of 2 pieces of paper. I'm sorry.
Okay. You can tweet, you can flame me on Reddit. I don't care what you say.
Also, remember, he uses Internet Explorer.
The dynamic story was that MKP won
a major tournament finally.
Finally.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
It was beautiful.
And he wasn't even aware of it.
I love MKP,
At the end of the series, he was, as we mentioned earlier. He was just kind of like... He pulled his headphones out, and he's like...
He was like... Yeah, he's like... Oh, but anyways, so that was MLG. Awesome job to MKP and DRG, both of them, because there were some really good games in that series as well. I would not say that it was a landslide. It was close kind of every single time we watched. Also, jumping into the tournament that never ends, the GSL. There's always something going on with the GSL. As it goes on and on, my friend.
Some people started playing StarCraft.
All right. Genius. Alive. Genius beats him 3-0. Raffle stomped.
Goose eggs.
1 goose egg. Not 2, because the next one, DRG, just talked about him, 3-2 against Gumio, sending them both down to Code A. March 3rd is the next match, and that will be Genius and DRG, so be on the lookout for that. As always, it's going to happen really early or late in the morning, however you want to
Wherever you are
say
on the
it,
planet.
in Korean time. So all of you nerd baller farmers, as Artosis calls us, get up early, watch it, have fun, or buy, the pass, and you can just watch the VODs later. But if you want to join me being a nerd baller farmer at 3 a.m., you can join my farm. What do you call it? Like, farms don't really have, I don't know. I want to say, like, join my crew, join my nerd baller farmer crew.
Co-op.
My co-op. We can drive tractors
Legion?
and combines all day, every day. Nerd baller farmers like a boss.
That could have been the code too. Oh,
nerd baller farmers.
Continue.
Hey,
you want to play my farm bill?
Don't even get me started on Farm Bill, man.
WCG's picking it up this year.
If any
JK.
If any large-scale tournament picks up Farmville, I quit esports forever.
Skyrim is on the voting list.
Don't even get me started on the...
We're sidetracking.
We're sidetracking like crazy. Here's the deal. There's not a lot that went on this week. There is. But instead of like 7 pages of notes, we only have 3 pages. So we feel like we have to do all this banter in between. But I guess we don't really have to. I guess we could make the show shorter if we really wanted to. Right. But I like this. We should just keep rolling.
Thelma and Louise. Oh, damn.
Get out of here.
All right.
Anyways, going down to GSL Code A. There were 2 major days that Code A matches were played. February 21st. Here are your winners. We have Sniper Seed, Mr. Leenock, Hero, the STC, Avenge, Rung, and Tasia. Then moving on to February 22nd, we have SC, Keen, Nada, not of OGS anymore, like I mentioned the last time, Squirtle, Stealing names of Pokemans now.
Pokemans.
Virus, Killer, and Maru. As always, that tournament pretty much goes on every week as well. Which, by the way, now that I mention it, there's a new feature on the site we're working on. Mm-hmm. I should have talked about this in the beginning, but oh well. We're trying to kind of put it together right now. It's not completely completed, but there's a new calendar where you can view all of the events that are going on. And I try my hardest to put the Korean time into the United States time or whatever you want to call it. But
we're not very good at math.
It's crazy. It's like 10 hours.
I thought it was 11 hours. And
you go into Google and type it in.
The argument was, is that today or tomorrow for us?
All I know is you crazy Koreans and your crazy time. Get out of here. No, I'm kidding. I love you guys. Going into the GSTL, there are also some matches that were going on there. Some really cool matches. We have in Group A, we have OGSTL beating Slayers 5-4. Very, very close match. In Group B, StarTail Q, which is Quanic, beats Incredible Miracle 5-2. And by the way, it was announced today that the GSTL Grand Finals will be played live in person at IPL 4 in New York. Wow. Las Vegas. Not New York. And that is also Easter weekend. Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout for any further news with that as that event's kind of going on. There's no actual announcement what venue it's going to be at yet. But as always, stay tuned to BossFight.tv for all of your information with that.
Come on, Circus.
Circus. What's the one with like the roller coaster and stuff on the top? That one's Stratosphere. That's what I'm rooting for. Mm-hmm. That place is sweet. Anyways, going on the NASTL Team League, Week 6, we have Team Liquid beating FXO 3-1, Empire over Rocks KIS 3-2, and then Quanic beating Evil Geniuses 3-2, and Mouse beating Rain 3-1. And finally, this was crazy. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
The IPL Team Arena. We have Team Liquid versus Evil Geniuses.
Oh.
Do you know what happened You know what happened during that event?
I don't know.
The nicest guy in all of esports, which is Sheth. Very nice guy, I do have to say. Probably the nicest guy I've talked to. Killed.
Nicer than me?
Dude, Sheth
You said nicest guy I've talked to. You didn't specify.
Nicest professional player.
Okay.
I've talked to.
Continue.
I'm also nice.
Well, I'm just saying.
Are you saying you're nicer than me?
Do you talk to yourself? No, because then
I talk to myself all the time.
Okay.
Anyways. Sheth all killed Evil Geniuses 5-0. And let me list out these players that he beat. He beat the Muslim. He beat JYP. He beat Puma. He beat Mr. Idra himself. And he beat Machine. I'm not going to lie. The internet was like in an uproar that this happened. So there was all sorts of crazy memes going around and graphics. And, you know, I'm sure Idra was really angry. And, you know, even In Control kind of came out and was like, yo, we kind of screwed up.
That kind of sucked.
He didn't even play in it, but he was like, we screwed up. Anyways, moving out of StarCraft, we have one of my new favorite tournaments. One of my new favorite tournaments, the Reflex GT. And Mike, you watched a lot of it. So
I not only watched a lot of it. You know, it's funny because I watched it when it was live. Mm-hmm. I took my notes. I was very close in analysis, you know, because I said beforehand that Apex was going to take it. They actually came in as the number 2 seed.
Right.
I watched all the VODs like 2 or 3 times because first off, you have A-Spec.
Oh, my God.
Is Josh, the first time watching Reflex GT.
I'm going to say this really fast.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to tweet this out to A-Spec, and, you know, I'll be like, hey, click the thing where Reflex GT starts or whatever. A-Spec, I just want to say that this is seriously the first time that I've really spent time watching the Reflex GT, and I'm not going to lie, you have gained a huge fan because you are freaking awesome. That's all I have to say. So, continue.
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll give a shout-out to A-Spec and Chaos TV, as always.
Indeed.
Very, very, you know, great production. First, I mean, it's a great tournament, first off.
Great experience.
Great tournament, great experience. being from home. This is in Amsterdam.
Right.
You know what? I don't care. I was telling you know what's funny? Everybody on Monday in my, class, at work, everybody, I was telling them I was on Amsterdam time. Because you know what?
Time.
I slept Friday night so I could wake up and be on time to watch these matches and everything. And it was well worth it.
Esports, you see what this man does for you?
So, going into the event, I said on last week's episode, and I said in an article that Apex was, well, first off, let's go ahead and specify. This was the Modern Warfare 3 PS3 4v4 tournament.
Right.
Now, this is actually the first time that the Reflex GT had ever used the PS3 in a tournament series, but they were still able to pull out 21 full teams. So, they actually had an online qualifying event because they never, there are teams that have multiple teams that do 360 and PS3, but they did an online event so that way they could actually, get the bracket set up before the event because this was only a one day. This was on Saturday.
Right.
One day event, knock it all out and, get all the games in and everything. Team Roughnecks actually came in and kind of threw the wrench in the gears and was actually won and got seeded number 1. Coming into the tournament, Apex number 2 and Infinius got seeded number 3. Now, that being said, Roughnecks on their Twitter actually said at the start of the event, we're taking this. We're the number 1 seed. We're not here to mess around. This is our tournament to take. So, that being said, all the tournament play was standard up into the quarterfinals, except for
somebody wanted to mix it up.
Right. Durus Novum came in. Remind you, there are 21 teams in this tournament. Came seeded 19th, the 19th seed. Their first match against the 14th seed AK Frogs, they take them out.
Boom.
Their second game against Infinius, they take them, knock them out. This is the number 3 seed, knock them into the lower bracket, and then their match to get into the semifinals, they take out Brutality, who is the number 6 seed. Boom. So, going into the quarterfinals, they're taking on Apex. This was the closest series I have ever seen. They play, it's a best of 5, and what happens is Apex takes all of the capture the flag rounds, except that every single one of them, every game they played capture the flag, went into a stopwatch overtime because the games were so close, and then Durus Novum obviously took all the search and destroy rounds. This is search and destroy and capture the flag tournament. I mean, it took the entire series.
It was crazy.
That
like
was nuts.
A-Spec, and they were nuts. They were going insane.
That being said, I want to go ahead and specifically give a shout out on Durus Novum's Slayers, who is the team captain, actually picked up Echo in the off season, which Echo is in the European scene. Kind of one of those players that he's really good online, has a lot of great YouTube videos, but has never really proven himself at LAN. They were the Slayers, like literally like nonstop brutality, locking people into spawn traps. It was brutal, absolutely vicious.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. It's really brutal. That being said, Apex did take the win, so Apex went ahead and went on. Durus Novum went into the losers bracket and tried to fight their way back, but unfortunately didn't. Grand finals, we had the number 1 seed Roughnecks, who got all the way through the winners bracket, never losing, faced off against Apex, and again, another very, very close. This was a continued series, very close as well. But let's go ahead, let's throw up. These are your top 3 finishers for the Reflex GT Modern Warfare 3 PS3 4v4 event, because I like making everything long and harder to say.
You do.
Number one seed, as you can see, is Roughnecks, who said, we're the number 1 seed. This is our tournament to take.
Put their money where their mouth was.
Put the money where their mouth was, and they proved it. Number 2 was Apex, who was again came in seeded number 2. So, it's funny. Number 1, number 2 came in seeded. That's how they finished. But then as you can see, number 3, Durus Novum, the 19th seed, who now obviously has shaken the Reflex and will definitely be a team to look out for.
Like a boss.
In the future. Which, speaking of which, the next Reflex GT tournament is going to be March 10th and 11th. This as well will be Modern Warfare 3, but this will be on the 360.
Interesting.
So we will see. It's funny because some of the players actually switch back and forth They don't have a console preference. They just play where the tournament is. So we should see, Apex. Roughnecks, I do believe that after their post interview, they said 2 of their players, I think specifically Echo and Slayers, was like, yeah, we're going to make a team and we're going to play 360. But if you've never seen the Reflex GT, you need to watch it.
Indeed.
Amazing.
Is A-Spec casting that one too?
Oh, A-Spec is always there.
He better. Watching out for you, A-Spec.
And also, you can on the Chaos YouTube page, you can go back and check out my recap article. I have the link on there. Check out the VODs because they're amazing.
Awesome, awesome.
And that being said, if you need some Call of Duty, you know what? This weekend, the Cyber Sports Network is actually they're teaming up with Razer to do the March Madness tournament, which is a free tournament. They had room for 128 teams. As of the current moment that I had checked, which is technically Tuesday night, they had 116 teams. And they had teams such as Obey. You had Obey and Phineas, which was the number 3 seed going into the Reflex GT, and Death Witch, who are all top teams to look out for playing in this tournament. So this should be a great event to watch. And also, Golden Boy will be shoutcasting.
Indeed.
So
he's pretty sweet.
That is amazing and good stuff for Call of Duty ahead.
Like a boss.
Speaking of other shoot 'em up, bang bang games. Pew pew.
Counter-Strike Go.
Counter-Strike Go. The developers have released another 5,000 beta keys. And this one ran a little bit different. They actually put a survey. If you go to it's www.blog.counter/strike
dash
go.
If you search, I looked for it today. If you search Counter-Strike Go survey, it's like the first link on Google.
First thing. You can take a survey, and this is basically what they wanted to do with these next series of beta keys. Is the initial ones went out to the community, the top guys. As long as you were up there on the leaderboards, you got in first. Now they're taking the variety. They want the players who are very interested but are maybe not as experienced, and they want to get their feedback as well. So another 5,000 beta keys go out, and every one of those 5,000 beta keys came with a friend invite key. So technically 10,000 beta keys.
Is it one or is it just one?
It's one.
One? Okay. So I didn't get one. I don't think Mike tried to look, but he couldn't get it on today.
I didn't log into Steam, so I didn't double check.
If you guys got a key out there, hit me up.
Spread some love.
Spread the love.
There was also some news. I know people were talking about on Twitter. Apparently, there's some new gun models.
Indeed.
So I don't know 100% about that. But
they're adding stuff to that like crazy,
which is great because that they had that long break where November they had the post and they're like, hey, here you go, here's the beta keys, and there was nothing, no updates, no maps, no nothing.
Like the website wasn't even updated.
Oh no!
Like the day that they sent out that they sent out the extra keys before this one. We were actually on the site, and it from 1 minute to the next, the entire site changed.
It boom,
brand new website. So sweet stuff with that. So jumping on into some further news, we're moving away from first-person shooters and jumping into some MOBA games, specifically League of Legends. The IPL 4 League of Legends qualifying tournament is complete for the most part. They haven't done the third place match to see who the third and fourth one are. As always, go to ign.com/IPL, for when that's going to be announced. But looking up at the brackets here, we have Mono Esports, V8, and Cursed and Against All Authority. They were all in the semifinals.
Team AAA.
V8 has been doing some really good work online. I've been actually watching some of them. They've been scrimming Curse and some other, or not Curse, CLG and some other people out there. So V8's been doing some work online. V8 ends up advancing 2-0 versus Mono, and AAA also advances. In the finals, V8 beat AAA, which is Against All Authority, 2-1. And like I said, the third place match has not been played yet. As always, stay tuned to the IGN site for all of that information. Also, the Dota 2 or the Defense Dota 2 tournament, still talking about MOBA games.
And another tournament that never ends.
That never ends. It's still going on, by the way. And they're they're getting closer to the finals. We're losing a lot of stuff going on this week, but I'm not gonna call it because you have no idea. Because the thing is, I was talking to Joel, our MOBA guy, and he was like, when they cast that tournament, they literally stream it like 10 times, and they have all sorts of crazy, like different people who speak different languages and So you have to get all those people basically in sync with each other, which is really hard. So be on the lookout for that. That's at joindota.com as well as our site. We'll have all the recaps up there as they come out. Now moving on, going back to FPSs.
Back to the
we probably should have changed that order. Regardless, we're going back to FPSs. Talking about Halo Reach. Major League Gaming, as you know, has announced that they are doing Halo Reach at their Winter Championships.
56K prize pool.
Indeed.
Get on it.
They haven't sold out yet. Guys, what are you doing?
Get those competitor passes.
Seriously. And if you get a competitor pass, you can do free-for-all. And even if you can get a free-for-all pass also if you're just a spectator too. So go out there, get some passes, support Halo. They released their V7 version 7 game types, which, as to be expected, no bloom, no sprint, all that good stuff. So there's an article on the site that Alex, aka Energy, wrote up for us. So check that out. Also, I want to give a shout out. We have Freedom, also known as Ryan, that helps us on Boss Fight. He's kind of like our social media marketing guy. He runs a website with some people called thecharitygamers.org, and he does a lot of charity events and works with a lot of charity organizations. He's been doing it for as long as I've actually known him. He's way into it. It's a really, really cool website and cool group of people. They're putting on a Halo Reach tournament at the I don't want to get this wrong, the Northern Illinois University, and the benefits, all the benefits of the tournament, is going to go to the Feed 'em Soup Community Project. So if you're in that area, the signups are going on right now. If you go to thecharitygamers.org, sign up. Support a good cause. There are money prizes. There are grab bags, swag, prizes, all sorts of stuff like that. So if you play Halo Reach, go check it out. Thecharitygamers.org. Tell them Boss Fight sent you. We won't get anything for it, but tell them Boss Fight sent you. Yeah.
Maybe we can get some soup. Maybe they'll send us some soup.
Some Campbell's soup. Yeah. But registration on that one ends March 22nd. So you have a while, but get on that ASAP, indeed. And then moving on to fighting games.
Last but not least, certainly.
They're not going to be last for much longer because we are getting into the EVO Championship Series.
Of the EVO season.
There's literally like one tournament every weekend for like the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. But final round is this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're into fighting games, make sure you watch that. And also has been going ongoing the past week or so. We've been watching Cross Assault. Mike's been keeping a little more tabs on it than me. I've been watching a little bit back and forth. So, what are your impressions? Did it live up to your expectations? Was it what you thought it would be? Or
I have to admit that I was one of quote unquote those guys.
Right.
That was when I seen everything about Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I was kind of like, I'm not gonna get this game, gyms, and it just doesn't look good.
Right.
Blah blah blah. I have to say that the Cross Assault has been, in essence, like an infomercial.
Right.
Like, I'm really wanting it now.
Yeah. I had a couple of my friends who were like, I didn't even want it. I totally do.
Yeah. You know what? It's definitely, it's up to Capcom standards, which is great. Now, basically, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to admit, I watched it Tuesday, I watched it Wednesday, I watched it Thursday, and as I mentioned earlier, on Friday, I
going on that
went into that Amsterdam time. So I'm kind of I'm in and out and back and forth, which that is one thing that I will say. I understand, Capcom's standpoint, Spooky and I Play Winter are there respectively streaming for Team Tekken and Team Street Fighter.
Right.
They are not allowed to do VODs because why would you turn in live if you could just watch the VODs? So
maybe they'll come out afterwards.
Right.
Right.
So that being said, I'm getting little snippets here and there of everything that I missed, but I will say this. Let's go ahead and look at the final players. As we know, we started off with 10. We're down to the final 4, and at this weekend, at final round, will be the grand finals of the Street Fighter Cross Tekken Cross Assault Reality Series with the grand prize winner taking $25K.
My God.
That's a lot of monies.
A lot of monies.
So, as I said, the top 4, the final 4 for Team Street Fighter, we have Nerd Josh and Rennick. And then for Team Tekken, we have TFA Hornet and Dr. Sub-Zero.
Which,
but
you might notice,
look at those X's.
They all started on Street Fighter.
On Team Street Fighter. So everyone from Team Tekken has now been eliminated. But as the format of the show is dictated from day one, Final Four needed representation for both teams.
On both sides.
So actually on day 2, Dr. Sub-Zero was eliminated actually by TFA Hornet.
Cincinnati, shout out.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? I've done it a couple weeks before. I'll do it now. TFA Hornet, actually the last 3 days has faced elimination every single time and has knocked out. He knocked out Dr. Sub-Zero, and you know what? He actually knocked out Bronson, who, in my opinion, was, looking at the cast, was my favorite to win going into it. But TFA Hornet has stepped up his game. Representing Cincinnati, representing East Coast. I'm going to go IFC Yipes on this.
Midwest is the best coast.
West Coast is the best coast.
Midwest Coast is the best coast.
That being said, taking off the biased hat. So, like I was saying, TFA Hornet actually knocked out Dr. Sub-Zero, but this past Saturday, they actually had a redemption challenge. And so one of the players who was previously knocked out had the chance to come back. And Dr. Sub-Zero actually said on that second day, I want a Tekken shirt. Right. Give me one of those red Tekken shirts, because you know what? I'm done with Team Street Fighter.
When he was playing, he had a pink shirt.
Right. The losers, actually, when you got knocked out, you got the pink shirt that said Salt. So, all the pink shirts competed, and it was actually Dr. Sub-Zero who came back. So now he's on the team Tekken, like he said he wanted to, but now he's on the team with the player who knocked him out previously.
Pretty crazy.
All right. And that being said, actually, on this past weekend, they also had the Pro Challenge, where they had players like Justin Wong and Ricky Ortiz and Mike Ross and FC Jago come out and actually play the game. So we actually got to see, a little bit more variety, because, you're watching like 3 or 4 days of these players, repeatedly nonstop playing, Street Fighter Cross Tekken all day. So we got to see some of those pros come out, and we actually got to see a quote unquote grudge match between Mike Ross and FC Jago. And you know what? I'm not even going to comment on it, because you know what? There's a lot of drama. Not just from that match, but actually some of the things that were leaked out before the match and after the match. So we'll wait until all of the video comes out, and I'll let you know when that happens, and you can make your own summations.
We'll let you know.
All I know is that I support Team Miranda's thighs. So if you've been watching Cross Assault, you know what I'm talking about.
Reddit?
It's Reddit. It's R-Kappa, K-A-P-P-A. You can get all of them on there, but it's actually, I think it's like mirandasthighs.tumblr is the main one.
If you don't know what we're talking about, check it out.
Get in the loop.
Get in the loop.
Speaking of loop, that wraps up fighting games. I don't know if I really have anything else for this week.
Nothing.
Just another exciting week, and looking forward to this weekend.
Should be awesome.
A lot of action going on.
Fighting games like a boss. But other than that, we would like to thank you for tuning in to BossFight TV's The Reload. As always, I'm Josh Engel, also known as Anti-Pro.
And I'm Mike Bisson, a.k.a. Mohawk Mike. Thank you for supporting esports, whatever capacity you do, and thank you for considering. High five time!